Next News. Breaking news.
Nearly 60,000 people in one state said they would rather go hungry than lift a finger to earn their benefits. And that's just the beginning. President Trump has unleashed the most aggressive welfare reform in American history, and the numbers coming in are absolutely staggering. 3.3 million Americans have moved off of food stamps and back into the workforce. But here's what the mainstream media does not want you to know. The fraud they've uncovered is so massive, so systematic, that it's going to shake this country to its core. Dead people collecting benefits, illegal aliens draining the system. In certain blue states, they might be doing it on purpose, but we knew that, right? So let me tell you exactly what this means for you, the hardworking American taxpayer. Every single paycheck you earn, the government takes a chunk, right? And for decades, that money's been funneled into a broken system riddled with abuse. We're talking about 500,000 people caught collecting benefits more than once, 200,000 dead people, or criminals using dead people's social security numbers, we're going to be real on that, still on the rolls. And under President Trump took action. Illegal aliens were helping themselves to your tax dollars through SNAP benefits. This isn't just about like numbers on a page, folks. This is your money being stolen while you struggle to pay your grocery bills, your gas, your rent. Think a Democrat. Meanwhile, in Pennsylvania alone, nearly 60,000 able-bodied adults refused to meet basic work requirements. Not even volunteer work, not even part-time. And they walked away from free food rather than contribute anything to society. That's a culture of dependency the left has created, and they want this. And it's your family paying the price. So speaking of taking control of your life and your health, I want to share something personal with you. For years, Gary's wife battled chronic pain and anxiety from her diagnosis. She had endless doctor visits, treatments that didn't help, watching her struggle daily. It broke Gary's heart. Then Jonathan Otto introduced them to red light therapy. Her pain vanished, her anxiety lifted, and she's sleeping soundly, full of energy and life again. And Gary's own recovery and vitality is better than guys half his age. This has been truly life-changing for their family. Red light therapy is backed by NASA research, FDA cleared with studies showing rapid pain relief and recovery. When you're fighting to stay healthy and independent, not relying on a broken system, you need tools that actually work. And red light therapy gave Gary and his family their lives back. And it could do the same for you. Now let's get back to the massive welfare shakeup that's exposing just how broken the system really was. But here's where the story takes a turn the establishment is desperate to hide. President Trump didn't just implement work requirements. He signed an executive order creating a national task force to hunt down welfare fraud. And he put Vice President J.D. Vance in charge. They're going after SNAP, Medicaid, all of it. And what they're finding in states like Minnesota, California, and New York is absolutely explosive. 85% of Somalis in this country, legal and illegal, are collecting some form of welfare. 85%, folks, that's not immigration. That's importation of government dependency. And you wonder why they vote the same way, right? Let's see what this is all about. We've got a tweet here from Wall Street Ape saying, wow, in just 6 months of new SNAP work requirements, already 59,578 people have lost their benefits in Pennsylvania alone. Almost 60,000 people decided they would rather no longer get EBT food stamps than volunteer or get a part-time job. Let's see.
Well, in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, they have got 59,500 people who've lost their federal food assistance, like their SNAP benefits, where they can apply and get a debit card and go pay for their food. Now, why have they lost their federal food assistance? And this is just in the last 6 months this has happened. Over 59,000 people in just 6 months because they put work requirements on it. People say, oh no, I'm not going to work. If I got to work for it, I'll just do without, because there ain't no way I'm going to go to work. Now, I'm telling you, I think we'll put work requirements on everything. You either ought to be in a job training program, you ought to be helping with daycares for other people who are going to work. Whenever you put work requirements of welfare to work, I'm telling you, it drastically reduces the burden on the taxpayer.
That was Curly Father 101, and you know what? He knocked it out of the park. It's the same thing I think most people have been saying for years. Like, it's there for like your worst time. If you lose your job, you're about to lose your house, it's there to make sure you have a safety net. It's not a way of life, right? I mean, that's honestly the way it is. But the Democrats, they want people so dependent on this, so they vote the same way. Because of what happens, Trump comes in, oh, we're cleaning this up. Oh no, Democrats want to keep it safe, so they have their little group of people that they can always count on for every election. And nearly 60,000 Pennsylvanians choosing work over welfare tells a story in just 6 months. But what about other states still pushing people into dependency? Brooke Rollins has strong words on that. From Aaron Rupar, we have, these blue states, I would speculate, are working to put people in government programs where they can buy their votes for the election. I do believe it's across and black as white as that. Let's see.
Frankly, at the SNAP level, but these blue states want more and more people. I would speculate they're working to put people into government programs where they can buy their vote for the election. I do believe it is crass and black and white as that. Yeah. That's what this president says, no more. Our cabinet is across the board working to stop this fraud and ensuring that the states are doing the same thing.
Yeah, well, thank you for your focus on that.
So I live in Chicago. I live on the south side, and I grew up in a very, very heavily Democrat area. I mean, it was also like 70% African American and like mixed 20% on the rest. We had state senators and state reps and other Congress people coming to different meetings and being like, we're going to expand benefits. We're going to take care of this. And oh, we're going to make sure the minimum income is raised so more people qualify to be on these food stamps. When they got elected, guess what? They did that because that made their people happy. That also made sure they were dependent on that person staying in office. They did this to entire segments of populations across this country. If you know, you know. But Brooke Rollins just exposed the crass politics behind welfare, dependency in blue states. Secretary Rollins is taking it further, highlighting the incredible strides made under President Trump's leadership to restore dignity to millions of Americans. From Rapid Response 47, since President was sworn in, we moved 3.3 million people off of food stamps into work and into better life of dignity. We're making progress. We have a lot more to do. Obviously, Minnesota, California, New York, they should add Illinois or ground zero for massive fraud, but we're working on it. Let's see what Secretary Rollins had to say.
Was incredible news yesterday, a real testament, I think, to this president's leadership and vision that we have to protect the taxpayer. We have to ensure that every government program coming out of the federal government is doing what it is intended. And I think the consequence of the shutdown last fall was a bright light was shown on a very broken program, and that is the food stamp or SNAP program. And we talked about that quite a bit. The Minnesota case is just one of many examples. 500,000 people we have found in the last year that are taking benefits more than once, 200,000 dead people or people using dead people's social security numbers. Of course, we made a huge deal to move all illegal aliens off of SNAP last year. So since the president was sworn in, we've moved 3.3 million people off of food stamps into work and into a better life of dignity, et cetera. So all good news. We're making progress. We have a lot more to do. Obviously, Minnesota, California, New York are ground zero for massive fraud, but we're working on it, and I think we're going to make great progress in the years to come.
So that's something crazy. You look at all the states, like I'm going to use Illinois because I live in it again, and I know Illinois pretty well. They would close the like south side of Chicago where I grew up. They had schools over there, and they said, we don't have enough money, so we got to close those schools down. And then they made those African-American kids go on bus rides for 50 minutes to different suburbs to go to the schools that should have been right there. Instead of finding the money and keeping the schools open and having it go to the actual community, they found millions of dollars to refurbish those schools into legal immigrant centers and funded that fully while disenfranchising their people. It's disgusting. The Democrats don't care about you or your people or anything. And that's what Rollins is saying, that they understand that these people are going to vote a certain way. That's why they give them driver's licenses when they go to those states. That's why all these things happen. It's because they know they're going to influence the vote in certain areas. And they need that to happen, especially in blue states. Because the more money they spend, the more they get. But the federal dollars were never supposed to go to legal immigrants for health care or for benefits unless their life was in danger. But the Democrats saw an opportunity. They saw millions of people like, hey, we can do this for them. And when they eventually become citizens, they can vote our way. But now they figured out a way to make that also happen when they're non-citizens. After learning of massive fraud and over 3 million people moving off of food stamps, thanks to new policies, we're seeing action. President Trump isn't stopping there, forming a national task force to root out welfare fraud with J.D. Vance on the front lines. Let's see what VP J.D. has to say.
If you look at the amount of fraud in the welfare system, according to the statistics I've seen, 85% of Somalians who are in the United States, legal and illegal, are collecting some form of welfare benefits. So that's not to disparage the other 15%, but when you're at 85% of a population that is collecting welfare, that suggests that we have really done something wrong with regards to vetting, and that's the fundamental issue. Even if there's no fraud, 85% collecting welfare is way too many damn people collecting welfare, getting rich off the American taxpayer while a lot of Americans struggle. That's unacceptable.
You know, again, it comes down to Minnesota and other states have programs set up for when those people come in. They meet with 30 different people. They have the paperwork stacked and lined up. They get all the government subsidies on the spot, cell phones, food, the whole 9 yards. They have an entire system set up around this. They know what they're doing. This is a professional gig. They know exactly what that comes down to. And they did all of this on purpose because we've had lax leadership. And guess what? Daddy Trump's home. But here's what this really means and why the left is in full panic mode. Secretary Brooke Rollins said it out loud. She believes blue states are deliberately expanding welfare rolls to buy votes. They are. Think about that. They're not helping people. They're creating government dependency as a political strategy. Keep people on the dole, keep them voting Democrat. That's the game. But President Trump just flipped the board. 3.3 million Americans have now jobs instead of handouts. They have dignity instead of dependency. And the fraud task force is just getting started. The welfare industrial complex that's enriched the political class for generations, it's being dismantled brick by brick, and they're freaking out. This is what America First leadership looks like. And folks, we are witnessing the greatest restoration of American self-reliance in our lifetime. President Trump promised to end the abuse, stop the fraud, and get Americans back to work. And he's delivering. 3.3 million people off of food stamps into jobs? That's awesome. Nearly 60,000 people in Pennsylvania alone choosing work requirements over free handouts? A fraud task force exposing the corruption in blue state after blue state. This is what happens when you put America first. Now I need your help to spread this message. Share this video with everybody you know. Drop a comment below. Do you support work requirements for welfare? Let us know, yes or no. Also, let me know. And don't forget to check out the Next News merch shop at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Show the world where you stand. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, and sign up for our text at text raw feed to 844-840-4963. That'll help us fight back against the mainstream media blackout. The truth is getting out, and they can't stop it. Stay informed, stay alert, stay aware. God bless.
The system controls information. Information control is power.
They don't want you to see this.
The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now. You know out.